These come from my wall. You know what these are? These are a very, very dusty set. Very dusty. Of Fidelio X1s. You see, I reviewed the X2s and the X1s years ago. Future Zeos. Link in the description for the Fidelio X1 or X2 review. I think I might have done both. I know I ended up keeping the X1s, though, because they looked nicer, frankly. These, which are what I'm reviewing today, are the Fidelio X2HR, which I guess stands for high res. It's got a sticker. It's got a permanent sticker on the box. It must be. But they went with the all-black theme, and this sort of had the silver rings and the brown headband. And also, if you look at them side by side, you can see the headband on the one was much shorter, so it was a lot closer fitting to the head. I thought they looked nicer. And then I eventually, in the future, I changed out the pads. I think these are ZMF Ori pads, because the pads on the original X2s were not the greatest. They were all right, but they wore on you after a while. So I've taken these off the wall, and I've been listening to them, and I didn't wipe the dust off until now so that I could save it for that review, because that's the kind of fucking person I am. This OCD motherfucker had to just sit there with dusty headphones on his head, because he's like, no, wait for the review, so you could do like that dramatic dusting during the start. So I dusted these off because these exist, and these have existed for a while. I think the X2s went out of production like a year and a half ago, and the X2HR showed up, and it's like, well, okay. Did they change anything? I don't know. They were always too much money. They were like $240, and I didn't give a shit. Well, surprise, welcome to $130 a pair. I'm not shitting you. I'm sorry. I bought my set last week for $130 a pair. Now they're $119.95. $119.95 fucking cents. Hold it. They still have some discontinued X2s, the original X2s. $160. And this is not just like a naming facelift where it's like, okay, they had the X1s, then they made the X2, then they made the X2HR, and it's all the same fucking head. It's not the same headphone. Because I haven't, based on the dust, I haven't really pulled the X2s or X1s off the wall in a long time. There's been tons of other new things that I know are better. I just know that these were very wide, very bassy, and they were really well built. Like, it's a great design as far as longevity's sake. And that proves true to today. They're still fucking amazing looking. And although I changed the pads, they still are amazingly comfortable. And the clamp's gotten a little bit lighter from sitting on the foam blocks. And you could stretch it out this way if you wanted to. And, but they don't sound up to date like what you want. It's 2019. 2016 was a very, very long time ago, apparently. I've been here for fucking 6 years doing reviews. 6 years. Hundreds and hundreds of well, I want to say hundreds and hundreds, but I think it's 100 plus headphone reviews, like 160. And I know the X2s cannot compete. The X1s certainly cannot compete with the Blondes or the fucking Sundaras or anything that's even close to like an open back under $300. So why didn't I look at these? I assumed they were the same thing. I assumed they were going to be very wide, very bassy, and a little bit muddy, and they're going to hide a little detail, and like no one really needs. I mean, if they were always my go-to for width, but then the Vocal Erupts came on this show, and it's like those are $400. So it's a little bit more, but and then you could always get I'm actually at a loss for like thoughts. There's so many other headphones that have come out since these were a thing, since the X2 originals were a thing, that I just ignored these, assuming they were going to be the same. And unless my pair has been severely degraded by time, these have astonished me a little bit. And the reason I bought them was the price. I bought them because I didn't give a fuck about a $250 set that competed and it sounded old school. $119 now as of the recording of this. Y'all gotta be stupid if you just let this go. Don't be stupid. These are absolutely worth they're full price. Let's take a look at the bill. Let's pretend I've never seen them before. Oh, look at this headphone. Oh, from Philips. Now, I don't know if it's actually Philips or if it's from, who's the company that bought them? Gibson bought them, didn't they? It doesn't say Gibson anywhere on here. Maybe in the really, really fine print. Made in China. Philips Audio.jp. Wow. There's a Japanese email on the bottom of it. They look amazingly good. Like the X1s, the only difference is that silver ring with no text versus the black ring with text. High resolution Philips Fidelio X2, 50mm high powered neodymium driver. That doesn't need to be there. It's there. Fine. The headband. Plastic because it doesn't actually touch your head. This touches your head. And this is a foolie because this is one of those spring-loaded straps with a very, very open mesh on top to breathe and a more closed mesh at the bottom that also breathes. But if you squeeze it like, oh, this is really padded, it really isn't, because the padding is only this bottom bit. The top bit isn't padded. It's padded on top. It doesn't actually touch your head. Needless to say, it's still comfortable, very comfortable. It's got only adjustments for tilting up and down. The adjustments for that are built in. The adjustments for this are you actually flexing the top, which is fine. I have no problem with that scenario. That is perfectly acceptable. That's how the damn, well, actually no, those actually twist, but the newer, the Ether CXs and stuff use just, you have the 2-rod design, you bridge them with something and you can go whoop, 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 whoop. You're not gonna lay them flat, but they'll certainly contour to your head. So now we look at the pads, and they look exactly like the shitty pads that those used to have. The only difference with this is that's memory foam, sweetie. So they took this fur gathering, like amazingly like textured, I don't even want to call it suede. That's an insult to suede. It feels like the cheapest variety of suede or velour, and then they shoved some really dense, heavy-duty memory foam in it. So it takes a while of wearing them for it to warm up, because memory foam gets softer as it warms up. This is actually pretty stiff because I've been going back and forth. But if you wear these for like 20 minutes and your head's hot and these got hot and they start to soften and everything starts to gel and press against your head nicely, and they're big, they're a full 3 knuckle in here, and I don't know if they're replaceable. Hey, they are replaceable. Look at that. I don't want to yank them off in case it was glued. This set of these was glued and like riveted in, and I had to fucking destroy them, so I was a little bit nervous, but look. There's an alignment pin. It even says right on there. How nice. Look at the angularity of that driver. I love these. I think I'm going to replace those on my wall with these. Because those have been on my wall. And those have been on my wall sort of like, they were sort of grandfathered in. They were like the Philips Chip 9500s were amazing. They're not on my wall because I have 3 fucking pair over there. 3. This how many pair. Because I would live stream and wear them because they're the most comfortable headphone. And I've had the X1s up there because they looked gorgeous. But I don't want to listen to them anymore. Like, I've grown out of wanting to listen to them. There's other headphones up there. M40Xs, there's other headphones that compete in that range and do it as well or better, but I keep them up there because they're grandfathered in. Same thing with the Monoprice Retros. Those don't even work. The fucking solder needs to get done, but they're up there because I respect them for being $30 and amazing when you change the pads. Now this, which by the way, interesting system they've got going on here with the alignment pin. I don't know, it's not a very deep pin to like need an alignment pin. But with this and what I'm hearing, they actually have the sound quality. Like, qualities beyond just wide and bassy. You can use them to analyze music, to hit the next track button. Incubus String Quartet, I Miss You. Now, it's not a fully true comparison since I did change the pads in this, but I assure you the hunt that I went on to try to find pads that could increase the comfort and sort of maintain the sound signature means that I trust this to sound very similar to the original or the X2s. Because the X1 and X2 were basically just a headband adjustment and a slight coloration moderation. Because I love that ring. Just the ring. Let's say take this off of here and put it on here. Because what I really want on this is the pads and the drivers. The headband I could give or take between the two of them. These sound just soft. Like, these sound like you set the details. There was a detail knob, but there was a detail knob. Like, if this is 100% detail, what's possible, these are like 85. So just, you can't really hear that string instrument that well. It's not placed. The imaging isn't fantastic. Just turn it down. That's what the old ones were. These are proper fucking headphones. They'd be worth $200. Having reviewed them now, if the price says $199.99, they're worth it. They're worth it at $200. Yes, there's other headphones for a little more or a little less. Honestly, open backs under 150 is sort of like a desert. Ship 9500s, Grados. There's a couple Sivgas that are decent. I know I'm forgetting one or two, and you guys are going to fucking hound me in the comments for it, and I apologize. But my brain can only keep up with so many things, and now that I've re-established fucking Fidelio as a thing I'm going to recommend, and I'm going to recommend these, now I've got to add that back with all the old stuff that I used to review, and it's like, oh my god. Oh my god. They big, by the way. Like, headphones are usually like, oh, they're big headphones. They're big headphones. These, in all aspects, the girth of everything about them feels comically large. These feel bigger than HD800s because the headband is like bigger, and this is just the thickness between here and there is so massive, and you have to grab them with like, it feels like I'm grabbing two halves of a softball, and then you stretch them, and it's got this really nice, the whole thing is a spring element. You put it over your head. Oh, we gotta talk about the wire for a second, because I talked about the build and how I liked it, and now it's still fucking great. We gotta talk about the wire, which I'm not using. Oh, I also, real quick, I put them on the tubes for a little while. Doesn't do much. The old ones, I said don't bother putting on a tube, because it's just, they sound like a tube anyway. They sounded a little dark and V-shaped and wide, and it was like, that's what a tube does to most headphones when you put it on it. And these are very similar, except they maintain the detail and are less V-shaped. Certainly, it's not as deep a V. If it's a V, it's like that. We have such nice treble going on here. Vocals, male vocals, female vocals. I literally could flip to the next track a million times and not get any of the songs I want. Remember when people used to sing in music? That was great. Wow, I have so much corn. This doesn't really count, but I'm going to put it on anyway. This is KMFDM Juke Joint Jezebel from the Mortal Kombat soundtrack? I don't know. They're a very visceral set of headphones. They attack you with sound, but they do it in a way that's pleasurable. I like being pleasured while being attacked. It's very, very hard to order that on the internet from a Russian bride, but they do it. Here, 9 Inch Nails. You can't go wrong with 9 Inch Nails ever, can you? Are they a planar? No. Do they have this sort of planar low end that you... Not really. But that dynamic driver is just so fucking chill, delivering enough detail for me to pay attention, enough low end for me to enjoy it, and enough width for me to say, oh, these are still the ones that do Soundstage. The only thing I didn't do is take them to bed. I took these out. They arrived a week ago, and I hooked them up to my XTO 5 Plus, linked in the description, which is my go-to carry around because it's a monster. DAC amp, and I just started listening to these, and it's like, these sound better than I remember. They sound better than I remember. And I had to take those down so I didn't have to remember anymore. A lot of what I do here on Z Reviews is based solely on memory. I don't have the 170 headphones that I reviewed. A lot of them are borrowed, or the company sent to me, I want them back. The ones that stay here, I get to reference. I pull them off the wall and I listen to it. That stays here. I get to say, hey, is this Inspire amp, tube amp as good as that? Well, that's still here, so I could literally just check. When it's something that's, well, this versus my memory of 3 years ago's X2, I'm going to toss it up in the air and go like, I don't remember if it was as good as that. These are better than these because these are here and I can compare. These do nothing that I would change. I'm hoping that the pads, I mean, I've only had them for like a week plus, maybe 8 days. I'm hoping that another 2-3 weeks of use, that if I use them, like really use them, these pads will soften up and break in just a little bit more. Because I don't hate the material, I don't hate the feeling on my head. They're solidly comfortable headphones. But I just want to be a little bit softer. Oh, the wire. Hold, please. Let me get some anger up. More 9 Inch Nails. So, Philips gives you a wire. It's a 3.5mm to 3.5mm. There's a 3.5mm plug on this. Right there, look. Booyah. I'm using a V-Moda cable. You could use any number of cables. You could use a V-Moda cable with a mic. If that still exists, does a V-Moda Boom Pro still exist? I'll link that in the description. But mostly, I just don't recommend you use the wire it comes with. I've had it unwrapped, I've had it stretched out to try to get rid of the kinks, and it doesn't go away. Then you look at the fact that it's long. Like, real fucking long. Like, could lower you out of a 2-story window long. Like, it's so fucking long. It's like 11 feet long. Here, let's fold it in half. Let's whip this up slowly. Yeah, it's practically my arm's width twice. And it's a thick, heavy cloth cable. It doesn't feel bad. But these janks don't go away. I might have to get a heater out to do that. And then it gives you this thing, which you could take off. And I never quite understood the purpose for this. So you get your wire in one end and you can pull it like to there. And then I guess you would roll up the wire. Hold on, let me see if I could work out this in my head. And then you have like this, oh, to the loop. And then you would hook the other end to this. What is the point of this? Because this is a bigger end, so you can fit more than one loop. So you can go back and forth a couple times. I just don't this wire. I just don't that wire. I tried to straighten it. I didn't even listen to it. I know one of the first ones, the X1s, these came with a wire similar to that with a 1/4 inch plug. And when everyone's talking about, oh, Zeos, do you like expensive headphone cables? No. I like well-built headphone cables. I don't like bad headphone cables. And the ones for the X1s, legit, you had to not use it because it had a resistance on it. A wire is a resistor, and in the more free-flowing the electrons, the better your shit should sound. And the original X1 wire had a resistance on it that was higher than like just a piece of wire should have, so it actually ruined the sound of the headphones even more. So I don't think that's going to do it. 2019, I'm pretty sure we sorted that shit out, haven't we, Philips? But I would still recommend using another. If you can use that, use it. Look, it's not a bad wire, it's fucking kinky. This is the symbol, the universal symbol for kinky wire. I don't know if you can get these V-Modas. There's plenty of other alternatives. Oh, God. These are going to end up on my wall. My fucking X1s. What am I going to do with my X1s? Because there's no way I'm going to, like... They've been here for years. They've got, like, $80 Ori pads on them. And if I wear them and hit play... I could tell the DNA. And I know this doesn't sound like the greatest song. This is, by the way, Erased, Over, Out, from further down the spiral. I I can tell from this song what the difference is and how much better this is at any sort of detail retrieval. Batman OST, Childhood Remembered. This is the original Michael Keaton Batman, by the way. Yeah, no, these are like movie watching, fun games. You could even play serious games on this because they finally have the detail. These never had it. These never had the imaging. These never had the imaging that could bring like actual locatability of opponent players. These do. These feel more like what the Ship 9500's big brother should have been all along. Because it was either you got 9500s or you got X2s. Not because the X2s are better than the 9500s, but that the X2s were a completely different fucking ballpark. They were extremely wide and extremely bassy and a bit dark. And the Ship 9500s were narrow and imaging and sharp. Now, these feel like they take the imaging qualities and not sharpness but accuracy of detail, and then add a smooth layer of low end and more width. These are the final. I should have reviewed these a fucking year ago, but you know what? I don't think I would have appreciated them as much. Seeing everything that's come and gone now, and then having the price drop. The price drop's big. 120, you're stupid if you don't buy these. 200, at least you could throw them in a list and compare and say, okay, do I want them to be huge? Do I want to have to change a wire? Do I want to get planar or not? 4XXs exist. You have some options at $200. At $120, you have no other option but to buy these. You have no other option but to buy these. You, Yang, have no other option but to buy these. They're like the quintessential big open back. They're the quintessential open back headphone. That's what I hope to get when I get an open back headphone, is a big, wide sound that's natural. The only one that's more natural is the Sundaras, and those will be sitting right next to them on the whole headphone wall. Sundaras are light bass, fucking amazing detail, and width. And these are, if you took like that and just wrapped it in just fucking fun. Those are much more natural. Those are very Yoshi Horikawa. Sipping tea in the garden, listening to my Sundaras. Or playing fucking Doom. Very, very loudly. Do I have the Doom soundtrack? I don't think I have the Doom soundtrack. I'm a terrible person. I would not blame you if you did all unsubscribe because I don't have the Doom soundtrack. Oh. Like that low end, just like whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna go watch the Alex trailer again, which I just watched, by the way, and I'm so glad I have an index. So it's up to you, Gavin. Because that has some low end to it, and I just want to. Okay, I'm done. I have to sound demo this now. You're still prettier. You're still a prettier girl. But you're a real headphone. Done with this. Wallpaper description. All my wallpapers go to $2 patrons and higher. The $5 patrons obviously get all the wallpapers, and you get to see all these reviews early. So I'm going to try to get this out to you guys, my patrons, as fast as possible, because I don't know how long that 120 is going to last. I probably release it to you guys without the sound demo, just because I know that's going to take it another 3-4 days to just get done. Then the $10 Patreon tier. Someone's playing video games in my event. $5 Patreon tier is you get to see these early. You get into the yard sales. If I were going to sell something, I'd probably put a minimum bid of like $250 in these because they've just been around for too long. Too fucking long, you can't have them. But $5 patrons get into the yard sales 1st to the 10th of every month. $10 patrons get into the behind-the-scenes Telegram chat, where you get to talk to me directly on my phone. You get to hang out with a bunch of other $10 patrons who have all spent way too much money on things that I recommended. And you get to argue with me that I'm reviewing the wrong things, and you get to tell me which things to review, or which order to review them. And I usually throw things at them like, hey, is this thumbnail good? That it's really those are the people who tell Z Reviews how to function. So if you don't like how Z Reviews is functioning, feel free to join in that and tell everyone else they're full of shit. I'm done with this. Sound demo's in the description. Thank you for stopping by. See you all tomorrow, and outie.